Or you were worried about me out there? I was enjoying the sunshine.
Long feet. Michael. Michael. Hello, Chief. You, sir.
Sir, how are you?
Couldn't be better. I'm with my family.
Oh. I see the flashback. When I was sitting at the gas, when we was at the gas, what's the matter?
Bobby, wait,
I gotta go to the county commission.
Oh, that's right.
This is great. Beautiful place.
One meeting without being back. I can't go 2 weeks
Yes, I agree. You.
All right, everybody ready?
Sure.
All right, it's six. Set on. It's 6 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. First order of business, if you have on your cell phones, please silence them or cut them off or whatever we need to do. Tonight's meeting will be, the call to order will be by Mayor Pro Tem and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Gleason. Mayor Pro Tem.
Please join me. Dear Lord, be with us tonight and guide us in the decisions as we work through this agenda. Let us do what's best for our customers, our citizens, and our staff. And let our staff know how much we appreciate every single one of them and all the work they do for this city, which most of the time gets unnoticed. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilkins.
Here.
Commissioner Albright.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaczynski.
Here.
Commissioner Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Mayor Wheeler.
Here.
Thank you.
And at this time, I'd like to welcome back Commissioner Way to our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
From the high seas.
I appreciate this board excusing me to spend time with my family during spring break.
All right, approval of agenda. Is there any additions or deletions that need to be made?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, motion to approve the agenda as is by Commissioner Gleason. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0. All right, we move on now to discussion items. 5A, introduction of Joseph Stallings, Granville County Economic Development Director. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Tim, Commissioners. For many years, y'all have worked with Harry Mills and most recently Audrey Boone. Well, Granville County has hired a brand new Economic Development Coordinator Director. So I have the pleasure to introduce to you all tonight Mr. Joseph. He goes by Joe Stallings. He started to work on March 18th. Joe has 13 years of experience with the North Carolina Railroad Company, the town of Garner, the town of Benson. He's a graduate of the Master of Public Administration program at Appalachian State University in Boone. He also received a bachelor's degree in political science with a concentration in town and city management, county and city management, with a minor in regional planning, Appalachian State. So, Mike, you hear that, right?
That's good.
Okay.
We love minors here.
He's our guy here, planner. Okay. So it's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce to y'all Mr. Joe Stallings, and I believe Joe's got a few comments to make, and then maybe the board has a few questions.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening and introduce myself. It's great to come down here to CREEDMOOR. While my background has been in local municipal government and in the railroad business, it's great to be able to bring my past experiences here and work on the county level. With only a few weeks into my tenure here in Granville, I've been able to meet with a lot of companies and a lot of people. And it's clear to me that there are countless folks out there in our community and the companies that are here that are dedicated to making our county an even better place to be than what it is today. I can say in earnest that I believe that the brightest days of our county are ahead of itself. With strong partnerships with our municipalities and the strategic long vision for the future that is couched in market realities and strong land use planning, I believe that together we can build a CREEDMOOR and a Granville County that is the envy of our region. I know I've got big shoes to fill with Harry leaving and with Audrey, and I look forward to doing that. But just as important, I look forward to working with you all to bring about what your vision for economic development is for CREEDMOOR here specifically, and the county in general. So thank you all for having me. I look forward to working with you all. My office is always open, and please reach out anytime that I can be of assistance.
Thank you. All right. Any questions from down this end?
Thank you for coming.
Mr. Albright.
I just wondered what brought you to Granville County and what has you maybe heard that made you want to come here?
In the railroad business, I was servicing 86 counties. So I got around a lot, and I felt like just being in my backyard would be something that would be exciting, returning back to local government, which was where I cut my teeth. And also, I in earnest believe that Granville County has a tremendous amount of potential, untapped potential, and that working with our economic development partners, our municipal partners and companies here and abroad, we can do amazing things in helping lifting people out of poverty and giving our citizens access to the jobs they need to be able to live and work right here in the county. And so I know a lot of folks commute out of Granville every day to work. I'm hopeful that through the work of my office and our partnerships, we can keep a few more here at home instead of seeing them travel outside.
But you still live in Garner, right?
I do. I commute every day. Yes, ma'am. In my defense, I've been on the job for 4 weeks, so.
Commissioner Gleason.
Thank you for coming, and, I hope our relationship is very productive.
Commissioner Wade.
Look forward to working with you and see what you can bring to Granville.
Thank you, Commissioner.
One of the things that has kind of always bothered me is I see a lot of the recruiting and things going on to the north end of the county. Don't see a whole lot from, Harry was a wonderful guy, loved him to death, but I haven't seen a whole lot of recruiting down in our area. Now, that doesn't mean, I'm not including Butner, I'm talking about this end of Tar River. Have you had a chance to kind of look around and see what kind of areas might be a good fit for this, for our area, kind of industry or business or anything along that line?
Sure, so I've got some meetings set up with the Water and Sewer Authority coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I'm talking to the manager about meeting with, some investors and business, CREEDMOOR Holdings, which has some investments here in the city of CREEDMOOR. Trying to get a good understanding and grasp on what's here today, and really understanding y'all's vision for the future. So I think it's a few things, Mayor. It's really getting an idea of what do you all want to see, and understanding what are the realities that we're facing here in the southern end of the county, in particular in CREEDMOOR.
Well, I appreciate that. Just keep us in mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being down here. We're at your beck and call if you need us for anything.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. 5B, monthly financial report. City Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Board.
Good evening.
I bring before you the March financial summary report, same format as always. If you look at the revenues collected as of the end of March, 75% collected. And by you all's direction, you see under sales and services, the rental fees and other dues that are related to the community center, you see those pulled out. And other is everything else that's under that sales and services subcategory. And you see a big portion of that taking account the sale of property that has taken place in this fiscal year. If you come down to general fund expenditures, you see 75% expended, so right in line with the general fund revenues. If you come down to the stormwater revenues, you see 46% collected thus far, whereas stormwater expenditures, we're sitting at 53% expense. Power bill revenues are 118% collected, and power bill expenditures are at 74% expense thus far for the fiscal year. Have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Any questions for Commissioner Way?
Haley, under our expenditures for the year for 75%, is that pretty much on target for us right now in our budget cycle? Are you pretty good with the way that figure's looking?
Yeah. End of March is your third quarter of the year, so you're 3/4 of the way of the fiscal year. So that's in line
It's right there.
with the year.
We don't have any more big expenses coming out, like workers' comp or anything like that?
Everything else is more related to the
Just departmental
ongoing
purposes?
operations. Okay.
Commissioner Albright.
Lee, I just have a question about the other, under the membership fees, where it at the top of the page it says general fund revenues. Should that be budgeted or budget? I don't know if I'm making sense to you or not, but
The first column.
the first column.
They can be budgeted, so that's the amount that was, so the amount that you see here are the budgeted amounts that include all of the amendments that have taken place for the fiscal year. So I can go and change it to, appropriated amount at this time instead of budgeted. That's not your original, the number that you see there is not your original budgeted number that took place last June. these numbers include all the budget amendments that have taken place so
So the other is the budget amendment.
no, the other under membership fees are all of the other line items under sales and services.
Okay.
So there are many more categories under sales and services line items, that would be too long to list out. So I just categorized all under other.
Okay.
I think you all just really wanted to see the recreation, membership
The
fees.
bigger things, right.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So does other include, permits and fees that we charge for people to fish and use our boats and stuff like that?
Does include,
Does it include, does it include the fines that we have?
the fines? Yes, it does.
Okay.
So it includes
Even though
all
that
of
money doesn't come to us, it goes to the school.
which fines are you referring to?
Any community development office fines, any fines for violations for property violations and stuff like that, that money goes to the school.
Does it?
No,
Yes, it does.
all the funds that we collect. Which violations of fines are you referring to for that would be?
People that don't mow the grass, people that
Oh,
don't
yeah.
keep their property up.
Yeah.
So that's not in this number.
No, so this only includes, like zoning, those type of things that you all collect within you all's office that we take here, and deposit into our account.
Probably like parking tickets.
Yeah, parking tickets, all of those other type of items.
Speaking tickets probably. Mr. Frangos, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Okay. Any other questions? Lee, as always, wonderful job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you as always.
All right, move to 5C, revised wayfinding sign design. Mr. Frangos.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, saw you all in the break room, so it's not like the first time I get to greet you. But this is a good one. This is an easy one. I think, NSP came back and gave us what we were asking for, which, you know, it's really amazing to come by that, right? They listened to what I told them. I drew them some pictures, and they actually gave us what it was we were looking for. The difference in the two pictures, can anybody, if you just go through them back and forth, can you like just advance one to the other? There you go, like that. So look at that's the difference. The difference, look at the top corners of the
Yeah. I can see it now.
So they call that the sea of blue, leave that one, with the fluted corners. So that's the one that I think hits everything that we were looking for. The fluted corners, the sea of blue, the emblem on top. Now, of course, the words aren't right. We don't have a hospital, just letting y'all know. We'll get those correct. It'll be things like Lake Rogers, yeah, I'm sure.
Got an animal hospital.
It'll be things like Lake Rogers, Community Center, City Hall, shopping, that kind of thing. But if we like the arrangement of this sign, the color scheme, the style, et cetera, then now we're going to move into the specifics. We're going to design each of the three signs at the three locations that are being suggested, and we'll move forward in the process. If there's something at this point that you wanted to change, it would cost us an additional design fees.
I like that. Mayor Pro Tem.
So Mike, the word Creedmoor on this sign, in this picture, it looks like it's red, it's bright red, it's not burgundy.
Okay, I'll be sure of that. We want the burgundy.
Yeah, we want it.
Like the signs and the flag, okay.
Yeah.
And the emblem, of course, the
Yeah,
seal.
matching the red and the emblem would be good.
You're right. That is a specific RGB number, or it has a value to it that we can assign. Yep, we'll do that.
Any further questions?
I like it. I like this one.
Commissioner Way?
With the directional signage, does this also include new signage for our entryways into the city?
No. No, these are the wayfinding signs that includes three locations right now. Now, this theme can be expanded upon, right? We're just starting with these wayfinding signs through this contractor at this location. If we like it, next year, we could come back with three more, three different locations. We could proceed further with the theme to include the entranceway signs for other signage that we want to use. It's all possible, but right now, we're just here for the three-way finding.
I think it would be a good idea to
I agree.
match everything together at one
Agree.
time, if it's a good possibility, if it's a consensus.
Well, I think it'd be a good idea, but I'd really like to wait till we get these up there to see how they look and how they appear and all that sort of thing before we commit to other signage. We'll do it. Is the general consensus for the one up there now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I want them next week.
Easy, 10 to 12 weeks
Oh,
application.
my God.
That's what they said.
That's still good. That's good.
All right.
Still in the
All
contract.
right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
these wayfinding signs are popping up in a lot of rural towns. I took my daughter to Greenville, and we went the scenic route down 96 to get over to 64, and I noticed Zebulon's got signs up.
They do.
Yeah, well, they're everywhere now.
They really are. And some of them are quite creative. We're trying to catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job,
I
sir.
heard about these wayfinding signs in 2020 when I first got at the very first meeting with Alan, the strategic planning session. And I'm glad to see them finally coming to fruition.
All right, we'll move, since Mr. Frangos is up there, we'll move to item 5D, Community Development Office Lease Agreement. Mr.
Yeah,
Frangos.
I wouldn't leave because of this one. So when we put together the agenda package last week, Wednesday, I was in a different state of mind. I was a little bit hot. Mike Turner could attest. A little bit hot. Because the idea was that we, had an agreement, and then the owner of the property doubled back and wanted to jack up our rental rate even more, in response to the letters that were sent out to all downtown property owners. He specifically took offense if you read through the agenda report. Joel Panera owns 3 properties downtown, 209 North Main, 211 North Main, and then the 302, 304, and 306 North Main. So the First National Bank building does hold some historic status, and he objected to the ideas of cleaning and power washing the exterior, et cetera. So he was a little hot and sure, sent back a revised lease with an additional 5.32% increase. If you read my email thread, that was included in there, didn't take kindly to that. And since the agenda was distributed, he has backed off the second increase and agrees to bring us back to what the initial rate as presented was, for a total of $2,665.78 per month for a 2-year lease at 211 North Main Street. I know it's not typical for you all to make decisions at your work session meetings, but I do think it's in our best interest to hastily get to a signed lease agreement, so we won't have any more second guessing or returns on decisions made earlier. So I think it might be a good idea to authorize the city manager to sign a new agreement for those original photos.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
So, in support of Mike's request here, item number 28 in this agreement says time is of the essence in this lease. So to accommodate Mr. Panera and hopefully get it to him before he changes his mind again, I make a motion that we ask the city manager to go ahead and execute the lease agreement, the first one that Mr. Panera is alluding to in the second email.
All right, Mr. Wilkins, do you have
Are we
any
making a
questions?
motion or are we doing a consensus?
We're doing a motion on
Okay.
this one.
So I'll be clear.
Mr. Albright, any questions?
No, I'm glad that you stood your ground with kindness, Mike, and that, I think people need to realize, a lot of times people will say, CREEDMOOR needs this or we need that or whatever, and sometimes it takes a little bit of money to get these things done that we want to have done. And it's almost like remodeling a room in your home. You have to spend the money and you have to make it look dirty and stuff to get the things, you know, that you want to have done, and people just need to realize that it's gonna take a little bit of time, but we're asking these things because we think it'll benefit everybody in the community, so.
I think we've steadily been raising the bar
Yeah.
from expectations from all property owners throughout the city, and especially those downtown. So as the bar gets raised, we're asking everyone to chip in, and this is him chipping in.
Yeah, because it belongs to all of us, and we all want it to look nice, and we all want people to come down here and enjoy our community, so.
Commissioner Gleason, any comments or questions? Mr. Way, any comments or questions? All right, we have a motion on the floor by the Mayor Pro Tem to accept the first draft of the contract with, Mr. Patel and his company. What did I say? Panera. I don't know why I want to put Patel in there. With C4SP LLC, with Joel Panera. So everybody's had a chance to ask questions, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, we move on to, always my favorite part, the FY 2025 budget workshop. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we got colors.
What I'm handing you out is basically a copy of what you received at our last meeting. And what's in red, most of what's in red has been changed to reflect, the board's comments, recommendations. This is the second, excuse me, of three budget workshops scheduled for March, April, and May of 2024. The March 18th budget work session, I presented the board with an uncut version of the 2025 budget request from department heads. The version you're receiving this evening is the manager's recommendation with some cuts and adjustments. There will be several parts to this presentation this evening. I will provide you with an overview of those departments, individual departments. I will then be followed by the Administrative Services Director, Camille Lockley, regarding proposed amendments to the city personnel policies, and Finance Director Lee Faines on expenditures, revenues, power bill, projected stormwater fund balance, and proposed amendments to the FY 25 fee and rate schedule, which Mike Frangos and Dennis Michaud will recommended changes are. I will begin by the general government. So we still have 15 of the 48-inch LED Christmas wreaths in the budget. We cut $8,500 out because we're going to buy, instead of 62, we're going to buy 31 or 30 of those spring banners out of this year's budget. So that's why it's cut out. Steve said he was able to find that money in this year's budget, so we're going to drop that out. And those banners have been ordered, correct, Steve?
Right, in order.
Right. All right.
What'd you get?
Yeah.
Which ones did you get?
15 of each, 15 tulips for 15 days.
15 of the top highest, and they'll be rotated with American flags in between each one. So it's should be very colorful. Yeah. And the city of CREEDMOOR's emergency operation plan is still in there. General government decreases by $39,021. The recommendation, of course, the municipal election is not recurring, the veterans monument is not recurring, or the iPads. The recommended salary adjustments are for only the two legislative boards, the planning board and board of adjustment, moving it from $50 to $60 per month for each meeting. And that's broken down below. You can see where I've taken one board off. I've changed the planning board from 50 to 60. Same thing with the BOA. And those totals, 57, 60, and $1,200 tells you what they are.
Now, these are only the meetings that they actually
Once a month meetings is what we recommended, the meetings that they attend to, yes.
Right, but if they don't meet, they don't get paid. Okay.
I mean, the BOA may meet once a year, I don't know, you know, it's, yeah, we're paying them for the meetings that they come and attend.
That they physically attend, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That they attend.
Okay. All right, moving on to the city managers, there's no change in that one from the last presentation. So unless you have questions, I'll move over. City clerk. I think I may have told you last meeting that Granicus is being moved, the line item Granicus, from the administrative services budget to the clerk's budget, which increases her budget by $12,000. It will in turn decrease the administrative budget the same amount, and one computer tablet for teleworking from home or board meetings. Administrative services, we've got the increase in DC3 that y'all are aware of. The cable optic fibers for that came in at $4.99 a month. Sarah's working to get that executed. An adjustment in postage, property and liability, we're still waiting to hear from. The Elders contributions increase that you were told last month about. NCLM is conducting the annual COLA survey, which should be completed by the end of April. So we have no recommendation on COLA. We're waiting to see what they do statewide survey reflects. So that you will receive that at our next budget workshop. City attorney, there's no change. I did have it up to 62 because of the increase in rates, but since we have dropped the flat meeting fee, I have dropped that down to 60,000. The board awarded that contract on April the 2nd to Rose Law Firm. The 23 budgeted amount at 60, only 51,120 was spent. The 24 budget right now, budgeted at 60, will have a year-end projection of 45. So it's less, but I didn't want to drop it too far. I'm going to leave that extra there in case something happens in more meetings, longer meetings, whatever. So anyway, but that's what we're projected to spend this year is 45 to 50, 46 to 50. All right, moving on to finance. Computer tablet for out-of-office meetings and conferences for the finance director. A little bit of training and travel that you heard about last month. Some changes in police department. Everything in black stays like you saw it last month. The chief has revisited his budget and decided he would like to ask for 2 license plate readers instead of 8. So there's a reduction there. He has also reprioritized his order of personnel. And you may recall, accreditation was first, K-9 was second, and third was narcotic. That was his third. He has reversed that order. So 30,000 is being dropped out for the accreditation specialist, and the other 2 positions are being recommended. If you have any questions about that, I'll pause just a minute so the chief can answer them if you have any specific questions for him. Because he's not in the other part of the presentation unless y'all have questions later.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so what's a Verizon Air card? I'm looking at Ed, he's gonna tell me.
How the computers work in the car.
What's that?
It's how their computers work. It's a modem.
Okay.
Attaches to their laptops, so they can work from their car, or they can take it with them if they need to go somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So they don't have them now, so how do they use the computers in the car now?
They have,
Okay, I'm lost. Come on, big guy.
Verizon Air cards.
Yes, so the Verizon cards, each officer has one in their car, so they can have internet access, which allows them to operate the systems that they need to.
Kind of like their hotspot.
I was about to say, it's a hotspot.
Sorry.
Figured it out.
So what are they using now?
They already have that should be since we had an increase in the number of computers we had with the take-home vehicles, that covers that cost.
Okay, the difference. Okay, got it. You sure only 2 license plate readers are what you need?
We can phase them in throughout the years. They are very helpful, I'll tell you that. So, but we can phase them in just to make it.
Why you back off?
amen.
What?
We have them at Wake Med, and I get a hit on my phone every day.
Yeah, over the weekend, we recovered a stolen license plate, stolen car. In the last 2 weeks, we've gotten a couple. So they're very useful, and we've identified at least 2 suspects in our call cases just by using the license plate. So they're very useful. I think we can phase them in.
Mr. Wilkins.
I appreciate your willingness to help with the budget, but if you really need them, should we leave them in the 8? That's my question to the board. If he needs them.
Well, that's what we
I would suggest you leave the 8. I mean,
Did we just ask him that?
please.
You just,
I'd split the difference with them and give them 4.
He was gonna split the difference, but I agree with Commissioner Wilkins. There's not a reoccurring cost
Yeah. I mean,
with these. They're a great tool for law enforcement, and they're actually on a network where law enforcement officers and other agencies can actually tap into them.
Yeah.
If the agency that has them gives them permission to do so.
absolutely.
And that's how a lot of crimes are getting solved, is they're tracking them through these license plate readers.
Mr. City Manager, Chief, I would leave them in.
So our goal is to eventually have every entrance in and out of the city covered with a camera with a license plate.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that helps us all, it helps us solve crimes. And I go back to one of the cases that you'll probably hear about in the next couple of weeks. This guy's gone up and down the East Coast, taking checks to food line. And CREEDMOOR Police Department, our investigators have solved this case for all these other agencies.
Wow.
Which you'll hear about that in the next couple of weeks. They're very useful, they're expensive, they're pricey. We do maintain that cost, the same cost over the years, because if something happens to the cameras and stuff like that, they come and they would give us all the updates and all that stuff, so.
What's their shelf life?
That I'm not sure. But I do know that they do good updates and all that.
They're maintained, and to my knowledge, we haven't had any issues with them. We've had them at Wake Med for several years.
Let's not be penny wise and pound foolish. Just go for it.
This is what an alert looks like. It can come directly to the officers' devices, and it tells them where the hit was at.
I learned about them in my police academy class.
Yeah. Mr. City Manager, I'd say leave it. I'd say leave it.
But that is not just a one-time cost, that will be a
Yeah, understood.
So the 24,000 is every year?
that will be.
Recurring.
Those eight, what's going to, that you have now,
Well worth it, in my opinion.
that's $30,000 a year.
Well worth it, in my opinion.
Can we do it?
Can we do 4?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I think this boils down to, Chief, do you want them and need them or not?
Yes, we want them.
And need them, yes.
Let's go with the 8.
Can we do 4?
And we're not gonna cut anything else out of your budget to do it. So don't think we're gonna trade off a T9 officer for this, because we're not.
I'll be more than happy to take whatever you.
We're not.
Let's just go with the 8. I'm gonna go. Let me get it.
So, Mr. City Manager, consensus of this board is that you put them back in.
18,000.
For the safety of the city. For the safety of the
Citizen,
city.
yeah.
I mean, it's a great crime-fighting tool, and I think it pays for itself in a matter of no time.
Question.
Commissioner Albright.
So Mike said you had 2. Do you have 2, or are you talking about the 2 that are here on the paper?
We have 2 already, we have 1 on 15, we have 1.
Don't tell them where they are.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen them by now, then you.
Right.
Yeah.
So could we do 4, and that'll give you a total of 6?
So will the 8 give you a total of 10? I'm not arguing with you, Commissioner.
Yes, he will give it.
Do you need 10?
Yes.
Let's go with the 10. I mean, we're doing semantics here.
No, I mean, what he's saying is this would give him his grand total of cover.
Yeah, let's go with the 8, yeah.
It's not a want, it's a need.
Yeah.
And we need it, and I've heard about it for every year since I've been here, and now we're where we are, and to me, 24,000 doesn't seem like a bad amount of money.
Yeah, but it's a recurring charge.
That's okay.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Butler doesn't have any yet, they're,
So let all the criminals go to Butler's,
Does Oxford have them?
I'm not sure.
All right, well.
I say we get the other 8, but that's just my opinion.
They not be as smart as us.
You got that on record.
So just for my clarity here, how many are we getting?
8, I hope.
8.
8. So we've gone from 2 to 8.
Yes, sir. Back to 8.
See what happens when you smile. Okay, is that the general consensus here that we're going to
For the safety of the
authorize that?
citizens, I absolutely do, yeah.
Yes. Mr. City Manager, the consensus of the board is that we get 8 of them.
I haven't, I asked Troy to stop smiling, he's costing me too much.
Costing us all.
Yeah. All right?
Now, don't make us force you.
Oh, one other thing, Chief, you really don't have to come up here. On our, because I'm afraid you're smiling, I'm gonna, I got a question about the K-9 dog, and I don't wanna buy the puppies and everything else. Are we still in the process of going through that? Is our officer being trained? Have we ordered the dog? Anything?
Can't do any of that till
Waiting
you
for that
approve it.
approval, and then that process starts once it's approved and we get the money. So we'll go down and I'll do a process to pick out which officer gets it. And then they will choose the dog, they'll name the dog, and they'll go through the whole process from day one. They'll be in class for maybe 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, I think it is. So that process doesn't start until we actually first, and that includes the class and everything.
Okay, just wanted to be sure where we're
I'll give
going.
you a dog for a discount. Can Emma and I go to pick out the dog?
I don't think it works that way.
Don't smile at that. All right, Mr. City Manager, I believe we're down to fire protection.
Fire protection services agreement increased by $174,558 as a result of the revaluation at 6 cents per $100 value. That's how that's calculated. Fire protection services agreement will now go to $401,837. The ladder truck payment stays the same at $49,750, for a total of $451,587. Public Works. The only changes there are listed in red below. Steve is asking for a part-time administrative data clerk person for 16 hours a week at $15 an hour, or $24,000 a year with no benefits.
I got that. I'll take it.
We're also budgeting a 5% increase, although we hear it's 3 to 5, don't know. Don't know what Seguasa is going to do with the rates, but we will adjust our numbers by 5%, which equates to $330 to the community center and $500 for Public Works City Hall and the CDO's office, for a total of $830. Once we know what that percent rate actually is, we can make an adjustment, and it very well may be between now and when the budget's approved, so you may know sooner than later.
Any questions on that?
The replacement vehicle, M4, which one is that?
Service truck.
The box body one, the doors and stuff on it?
Yes, sir, with the 2 boxes on the side. It's a diesel.
Is it easier for us to buy one or to lease it with the lease program that we already have?
Well, we thought, this is purchase price, but we thought we'd look at the enterprise lease as well, with that vehicle and the CDO's vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, look at that, yeah, probably be cheaper.
Mayor Pro Tem.
That's where I was going. I was gonna ask if we could possibly
Lease it.
find out if leasing is better. All right.
All right, let's see, that was all of Public Works. Community Development, please.
The mayor asked me at the last meeting, close of last meeting, just to leave the planner position in, for further discussion by the board, so 12-month planner position is in the budget. The option below that, as you can see, is 6-month plan position, funding the position starting January 1, 2025, just as an alternative option. The dollar amount I gave you last month, $111,276. It changed to 93.6. Do you remember why that changed, Mike, or Carl?
It was a formula, we had a formula on my spreadsheet that added up, it fell across.
Okay, so it's actually 93.6 for the year, including benefits, or 46.8 if you want to start it 6 months later. Everything else stays the same in the community development request. So if the board wants to have more discussion about that planner position, give us some direction.
Mr. Way, any comment or questions?
No, sir, I don't have any.
Commissioner Gleason. No, sir. Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Albright. Mr. Wilkins.
I'm leaning towards a 6-month planner, and I think I was pretty clear with that the last meeting, so that's where I'd like us to go.
You need a decision or a consensus.
It would certainly help us, we're continuing to fine tune this. I need to know what the board as a whole would like to do with it.
All right, I have Commissioner Wilkins' input. Is there any alternate input or any other?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Mike, do you have anything you want to say about whether it's how we may have you to go from a full-time to a part-time, positive or negative, one way or the other, or?
We have a lot of work to do in this budget as affected by the projects that are included. A planner position for 12 months is important for me to be able to do all this. That's my input is I need to.
Commissioner Wilkins.
I'm okay with that if you really need a mic. I won't stand on 6 months. I'm flexible. That's fine.
Mike, we will ask you to stand up at the podium and smile, though.
No objection, I'll do that.
He was smiling from his seat, that's right.
Okay, Commissioner Albright, any questions?
Yeah, I'm good with the 12-month
Yeah.
planner.
That's fine.
Okay, Commissioner Gleason? No. Commissioner Wade? And Mayor Pro Tem, you're good, right?
Yes.
Consensus are, we go with the 12 months.
Thank you all. Moving right on to Parks and Recreation. One item at the bottom of your list, the increased number of temp hours, that was the 51,675 was a total for the year for that line item. The actual change impact is 15,830. And Parks and Rec Director's here, if you have any questions regarding that request. Currently have, I'm told, a David, 2 part-timers. He's got 2 vacancies that he's in the process of trying to fill as well. These extra hours will be used for those people who are currently, those 4 positions to help cover events at the community center.
The part-time people.
Ma'am?
The part-time people.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, the number from the financial summary that shows, actual spending is $198,000 below what was budgeted, and you're asking for $154 more. I mean, we're almost at the end of the year, and you've got almost $200,000 left over yet.
Most of that 150 is outlined.
Okay. Like the pedal boats and, what's wrong with the bathrooms, fixtures, lights, doors? My God, the building's only 3 years old.
They look pretty rough.
What in the world's going on in the bathrooms?
We're talking about Lake Rogers.
Oh, okay, I'm like, wait a minute.
We meet ADA and the Lake Rogers, but there's so much more that needs to be done with our new city commode, those things.
The doors are rusted out, the frames, it's kind of, they're old, they're showing their age. And Lake Rogers.
And to be honest with you, I believe that Lake Rogers was a great idea some time ago, but I don't think anybody realized the manpower and the housekeeping and everything that would be entailed to keep it going, just like running the concession stands and how much money. I'm so glad about the Christmas tree. It's coming. I'm so excited. And we did surplus the old one, right? We did agree to surplus. Okay. All right. Community center painting. Are you going to do that too? Is there anything you don't do?
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, I love the street signs. I'm so glad to be able to read the names of the streets. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Mr. Albright, any questions?
Not in that section, no.
Commissioner Wilkins?
Nothing, sir.
Any down this way?
I don't know that
Commissioner
it's time for this budget, but, in speaking to the director, these part-time people really get peanuts. Peanuts. I don't know whether we have time between now and this budget is finalized, but I think there should be some conversation, and if we can supplement that a little bit, give those part-timers a little more money.
And that might be the issue that we're not.
Keeping in, yeah,
Yeah.
right, retention, yeah.
We'll revisit that.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thank you.
He didn't have to talk much, that's it.
If no other questions on Parks and Rec, county service contributions, nothing changed there. Being reduced $22,500 for some non-recurring items. Any questions or comments about that?
Commissioner Albright.
Mike, is it the Creedmoor Cemetery Association? What does the association get us?
They take
We
care
get
of.
free room and board?
Cemetery, what used to be the old Maple Cemetery, Cemetery. It's the upper section of the Creedmoor Cemetery where it says Rogers Cemetery down at 56. Rogers Brothers on the lower part, Creedmoor owns two lots on the very top.
Okay.
And they mow and cut and trim and do all the maintenance of that year round. They were $4,000 last year, they've asked for $200 up for this last year. And there's a committee, I think Nina's on it, Betsy Dixon's on it, a lot of folks from the community.
That'll come to you later. You'll remember later.
If there are no other questions, I'll, ask Miss Camille Lockley, if you'll come up. Camille's gonna talk to you about more specific pages. I think I sent you an email telling you what pages those were. We included the whole policy, so if there was something else in there you wanted us to look at or something of concern, we will. But she's gonna point out 4 pages of what those recommended changes are.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Like Mike said, I'm coming to propose several personnel amendment changes. We haven't updated our policy since December 2020, and a few things have changed since then. First, I would like to look at the longevity, page 13, section 14. I just want to change the years of services. I think it's beneficial for the current employees who are here so we can retain them.
Page 71, I'm sorry.
That's what
I'm sure they know that.
So the only thing I'm trying to change is the years of services. Again, so we can retain the current employees that are here and also make it attractive for new ones that are gonna come when that opportunity arises. The cost for the change would be $2,050, and that usually comes in their check around Thanksgiving. The next
Hang on, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm okay with the changes that you've made, except I would like longevity pay not to begin before 5 years of service. 0 to 2 years can be accomplished by anybody. I think, we should start it at 5 years. That's just my.
See, if you leave it where it is right now, it's at $100. If you leave it where it is right now.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I think 0 to 2 years. Oh, so 0 to 4 years?
It was 0 to 4 to 100. I just want to shorten the years, because somebody being here 4 years getting the same as somebody that just came, that's not really fair to them.
Yeah, see, I'd like to leave that at 0 to 4 instead of going to 0 to 2, and then leave 5 to, I like the years the way they are. Because 2 years, you could do 2 years and snap your fingers in 2 years. You think we're gonna lose anybody if we lose that many dollars?
It's just being attractive to the new people that are willing to come, to give them something to look forward to, but it's mainly for the employees that's already here. Again, you know, they've been here 4 years, and they're getting the same as somebody that just started. I mean, but you do want to, in my opinion, I still think it's good to give people something when they start, to show that we do value them and appreciate them, to make them want to stay longer.
Do they have to be here for 1 year before they're eligible, or does, get paid?
Well, how they had it set up, it was just 0 to 2 years. So from the
0 to 4.
I'm sorry, 0 to 4, yes.
So if they got hired, it has to be their full year of service?
It has to be as long as they were here by October 31st of that year. So this is when we do the longevity.
So if they're hired in August, they get
Yes, they get the $100.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Commissioner Wilkins.
With the difficulty in retaining people the way it is nowadays, I think the way Camille laid it out is just the right way to do it.
One of the board of directors to me was vacation, so we're looking at
Yes.
every angle we can
Yeah,
to.
it's rough out here.
attract new employees.
So I think that's perfect the way you did it.
Yeah, the only thing I have an issue with maybe is somebody that's getting the same thing for being here almost, 11 months, same as somebody's been here for 1 month. But this is not, I did profit sharing, we didn't do longevity amounts, so. Which meant they usually did get anything. Need to hit the drugstore. Okay. So, Commissioner Way, any comments or questions? Commissioner Gleason?
I have no problem with the change.
Commissioner Albright? My brain's fried.
Yeah, I'm okay with the change.
Commissioner Wilkins?
All right, good with it.
Consensus is to make the change.
The next item I had was the annual evaluation in section 9. 104. The changes I made here, it was to simplify and remove the above midpoint and the below midpoint. And my reason for that is, when you have above midpoint, it drastically lowers how much the merit increase is for someone who's receiving it, who's been here for a while. It's like you're penalizing them for doing their job to the best of their abilities. We also changed the rating from a 4-tier system to a 3-tier system, which gives them a bigger range. It gives them for a bigger range for their performance evaluation. And that way, these employees aren't getting penalized for doing their job. And there's no additional cost for that to the city. And then the next thing I have is the work schedule and the dress code. So with that, we're adding the new telework policy. That's something we didn't have in place, so we just wanted to add that to the personnel policy. And that can be directed in your packets that you all had. The dress code policy, that's just to make it clear to employees what is appropriate attire in the workplace. So that wasn't something that was in our personnel policy either that we wanted to add. And then lastly, I had the social media policy. Oh, sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, in the dress code, I would like to add, if it's okay with everybody.
Okay.
A lot of people are wearing leggings, and they're not on this list of pants. So what I was thinking of, could we add that leggings could be worn as long as there's a shirt that's fingertip length?
Sure.
And I know the last time I worked, that was the requirement, you could wear leggings, but you had to have a shirt on that was fingertip length.
Okay, we can add that. Was there anything else?
Steve, the footwear doesn't apply to your people, does it? Yeah. Commissioner Wilkins, any questions up to this point?
No, sir.
Commissioner Albright? Mayor Pro Tem? Any questions? Okay, please continue.
Lastly, I had the social media policy, and that was approved by the board on 12/6/2022, which we had all the employees sign to acknowledge that they read and received the updated copy.
118.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry,
My pages are a little different than y'all's, I apologize.
We're on a team effort, sir.
118, got it.
So what we did here was, because it was so big and it's so long, we did a hyperlink. So when they click on the social media policy, the hyperlink, it'll give them the full, policy.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, since the social media policy is such an important part of our employees, my question is, when an employee is hired, before they're hired, are they made aware of this so that they don't get hired, get their handbook and say,
Yes.
I didn't read that?
So what I do is I send them the personnel, once they, send the offer letter back, the personnel manual is with that, and they have to acknowledge that they received it and
Okay.
looked over it. Yes.
Okay, because I know that the social media policy was a separate piece of paper and they had to sign it upon agreeing to be employed. That was the way it used to be done.
Yes, it is one already in our personnel manual, but the full policy that was updated, if they click on that hyperlink, and when we send that back out,
Yeah,
if this is approved, and when we send that out, they'll have to click on that and approve
okay.
that they received it.
Camille, you did a great job on this personnel
Absolutely.
policy manual. Thank you.
Absolutely, beautiful. Any other questions for Camille?
Thank you for taking the time to.
Yep,
make
great
sure
job,
you talk.
great job.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful
All right, Lee, now you're welcome to give you some more information.
Here comes Lee.
I'm gonna try not to confuse you all too bad today. In the same format as the last budget, workshop, revenues are still the same. I wanted to show that the revenue will be at the current tax rate, and of course, we have to publish the revenue neutral tax rate, 36.4 cents. That's what the revenue would be at that rate. Of course, later on, after we kind of have did all of the consolidations and adds and takeaways from the budget, I would then be able to bring before you the recommended tax rate. I didn't want to bring that to you all tonight because there's still some things that we got to work through to get to that point. So the FY '25 expenditures as of today, the requested was $6,594,979. The proposed or the manager's recommendation and cut so far is $6,591,982. The FY '24 adopted budget was $5.5 million. So the budget that we presented to you all today is $1,035,270 more than what was adopted for this current fiscal year.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
So Lee, I'm going to say this out loud for everybody. Last year, we cut the budget a lot. And when I looked at these numbers, I spoke to you about the fact that we budgeted, on page 7, all the amounts that we budgeted, but the actual expenditures in most cases were higher, and it's because of all the budget amendments. So I want to remind this board, when we approve this budget, really, really think about where you want to be, because Robert knows this real well, the years that every month, I hate budget amendments. If we can't get it right at the budget time, I'm embarrassed when we have to do budget amendments. I know things happen, they just do. But I really, really want us to think hard and long about this budget so that we can avoid doing budget amendments, because last year, we had a lot of budget amendments. If you look on the 2 pages that Lee has presented and what Mike has presented, and you look at the difference in the number of what the approved budget was and what we actually spent through budget amendments, it's a lot of money. And so I want us all to be very, very cognizant of the fact that we really need to think long and hard about what we're approving, and hopefully we can stick to it through the year without, Seguasa pipes break and things happen and that's that, but in the city of Creedmoor, it's like, if you look on page 43, the adopted budget was $15,500 for general government, and the request this time is $44,500, but what the budget approved last year for general government was $333,740. Well, I'm looking at the wrong line. Recreation.
The adopted budget was 566,019, and with all the budget amendments that we've done, they ended up 598,552. So that's $30,000. So let's just be very cognizant of what we're doing this year so that we don't have to go back and forth and drive Lee nuts with drafting budget amendments. Because I don't like
Lee, just for my curiosity, and I'm sure it's in here somewhere and I just can't see it, our proposed budget for 2025, $6,591,982.
Yes, sir.
What would the tax rate be to cover that proposed budget?
Right, so I believe at the last meeting I brought before you, it was 40.4.
40.4?
And it's still well within those lines, because we really haven't cut or taken away too much from the budget as of now. But there are some things that we gotta go back and add, if you all would like to add it, because like, the manager mentioned, we're still waiting on the league's, survey regarding the COLA. That's something that can drive our, recommended tax rate. We're still waiting on the health insurance increase and what that might be. Hopefully that might be a decrease from what I actually have budgeted in there so far. Right now, I don't see that happening. So that's what they generally tell you to do is 10%, but I think they're thinking it might be lower, so that's best case scenario. Like I said, those items will drive what the recommended tax rate would be, because my thought process in providing a recommended tax base is that the revenue that we draw in for the city is being able to maintain ongoing operations only. And the fund, I feel more comfortable with fund balance, appropriating fund balance only for those one-time expenditures. That's only once a year. So once we get all those things that will affect the daily operations and ongoing expenditures, I can better give you a recommended tax rate.
Will we hear from all of these things before we actually adopt the budget?
Yes. Yes, sir. I believe, Camille has a meeting with the health insurance people on next,
Yes, Monday.
yes, regarding what that may be. So all of this will be before you at your next, workshop meeting. And hopefully, may bring it to you at the first meeting in May regarding some of those changes that we're gonna make in the budget.
All right, thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem.
So, some of you were on the board when our former finance director and even our former city manager and finance director came to us and said, you're going to hit a very, very bad point within 5 years if you don't start raising taxes. So I want everybody to understand that, I mean, I can hear the words in my head right now of them saying that, and I didn't believe it, but I've checked and spoken to Lee about this to verify it. And remember, the revenue neutral tax rate of 36.4, that 6 cents of that 36.4, we don't even get. We automatically give that rate to the fire department. So we're running the city operations, just operations, on 30.4. We know we need a larger, better police department, and if you don't know it, go take a walk through the offices. It will make your head spin, because it made me. It made my head spin, how they are jammed and crammed in that space, and I had no idea how bad it was. We've got a fire department that needs a new firehouse, and they're asking us to help them. So we are doing everything we can for our citizens with the money that we're working with. But if we don't raise taxes, starting somewhere, somebody in about 4 more years from now is going to have, there's going to be a tax rate that will knock people out. And we don't want to do that to our people. So I just want everybody to remember that. Nobody wants to raise taxes. Nobody wants to raise anything. And everything's going up and we don't like it. But the reality is we were told 2 years ago that if we don't start raising taxes, we are gonna have a problem.
And the thing is when the city decides to go out and obtain debt, the LGC is gonna look at the financials to see if the city is in a good standing to make those annual payments in order to be approved for that debt. And then speaking with Carla, when I first came on, those were the first things that we discussed was the LGC, according at where we stood then pre-reval, if we was to go and try to borrow debt, the LGC wouldn't approve it because the financials show in the years to come that is decreasing each year and taken away from fund balance. And after speaking with many, couple of finance directors in the area that are going through the reval, all of them are saying the same thing. This is a time where you got to address the concerns and the issues of the city to be able to do those things in the future.
Before I ask for questions, do you have anything else in your report?
I was just going to go through the Power Bill doesn't change from when I last presented to you all. Stormwater with from you all direction and going with the recommended fee and rate changes from Raptelis. And those numbers are now included here where you have a balanced budget, not taken away from your fund balance. So going forward with the new rates and fees, if you all decide to adopt that with the budget, we'll put it in a place to start building back up that fund balance for stormwater. And then after here, everything is regarding the fee and rate changes proposed from Community Development Office and Recreation. So I'm gonna let Mike Franco step up and discuss those changes regarding the community development fees and rates.
On the, under recreation fees and rate adjustments, half-day rental city residents, looks like you marked out the 200 and the 150. Is that supposed to be 200?
Mr. Mayor, you'll let Mr. Franklin.
Okay, before we go to that, let me ask, does anybody have any more questions for the finance director? Lee, as always, thank you, sir.
Mr. Franklin.
I'm sure that's probably what it is, but
it has been many years since the Community Development Department has increased its fees. And what we see coming before us, obviously I think now is the best time to implement these fees for the additional expenses that we foresee. One of the places where we've taken care is about these the reinspection fees. It's something that we never used to do. We had the small town kind of feeling. You ask us to come out for an inspection, we'll give you our input, but lately it's kind of been taken advantage of, where we've been repeating 2 and 3 different inspections, and yet nothing has changed. So the idea of a fee implemented for the next trip is what's crucial. I have it in here in 2 places. One is under construction administration, which relates specifically to subdivision development. When new developments are built, the inspections go out, and then the reinspection fees would happen at $50 per visit. I also have it in another place for zoning compliance certificates, which is at the end of a commercial or any sort of zoning inspection. And that too is a $50 fee for the trip charge. Again, it would prevent, right, under code enforcement, exactly. It would prevent that idea of wasted trips, which is what we get so often right now. A lot of the other changes were clarifications, improvements on the ideas. Just see one right here about the food truck and open air sales, renewed annually. This was something that people felt, well, I got a permit and I'm good forever. I'm going to bring back my 2020 vending permit so that I can set up. No, I'm sorry, your 2020 vending permit is expired. You need a 2024 vending permit, so we could renew that annually. So we get that quite a bit. That's just an example of where we're trying to make the fee schedule a little bit more user-friendly. The other big changes that I made that I'll just recite, number one, we went up to on conditional zoning map amendments, which conditional zoning map amendments now, we've talked a lot about. Those are what most of them will be going forward. I'll just call your attention, Creedmoor Village was a conditional zoning map amendment. So where the typical zoning map amendment takes $700, and that includes the letters, the notifications, the publishing, and the staff work, the conditional districts went up to $1,000 because it does involve much, much more work at the staff level. You all might recall, I went through about 7 or 8 revisions of those conditions with the developer, and that's, many hours of time that was invested in trying to get those finalized. Reorganized some of the fees, vested rights procedures and other things brought up under zoning studies rather than where they had been previously. We did increase the amount for a single-family and two-family zoning compliance permit, but we kept the other zoning compliance permits the same. Mobile home fees, we kept at $75. Not that we get new mobile homes, we get mobile homes that change out into the same stalls, and each of those have to be reviewed, but we kept that cost at $75. And then we went up on multifamily. We have a lot of multifamily in our future, and the idea of multifamily residential zoning permits at $150 per unit. So that could make those buildings profitable when it comes to zoning, inspection, and review. Those are the biggies that I can remember. Barbara, will you scroll up a little bit, like a little bit backwards, no, the other way? Is there anything more under mine? Yeah, and that one was the one about subdivision fees. So I spend a lot of my time reviewing exempt subdivision plats, whether they be recombinations or subdivisions that are otherwise exempt. Today, the ordinance doesn't allow for me to charge for those, but yet I do spend time doing those. So these exempt plats have been moved up under minor subdivisions, so anytime that I sign a plat, it will be a $50 fee per sheet. Any other questions that I can answer?
Mr. Gleason, any questions?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Mr. Wilkins?
No, sir.
Mr. Way?
Mr. Fringos, under your construction administration for reinspection fees, so is this when they come to you and say, hey, we're ready for you to come and make sure that we're good to go?
Right.
And then when you get there and you say, well, no, you're not, you need to fix this, this, and this. So this is for the person to go back.
You get one fee, you get one inspection free.
Correct.
The first inspection is free, it's the
That's when they say, we're ready, we got everything.
Correct. And it's not.
Right.
Or we fixed it, and we went out there and they didn't actually fix it.
All right, and so, and tailbacking off of that, is that's the same for your code enforcement administrative fee?
Correct, but in different situations, different
Correct,
scenarios.
this is a violation, he goes out and says, okay, this is,
right,
I fixed it, so now it's
and
fixed.
it's not.
It's not, so he has to go back out. So in dealing with this type of stuff, in another previous position that I was in, I propose an increase to $100, because that's in line with other municipalities in our area.
Okay.
Because if you come to me and say that you're ready to go, you've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, and you go out as an inspector to make sure that's taken care of, you're taking your time to make sure everything's done. Okay, it's not done correctly, and you've been given the reasons to fix it, and then we've been taken advantage of in the past and going out there and not collecting any of this money back for our time and effort to go out there. I think that's pretty reasonable. $100 will probably make sure that somebody's i's are dotted and the t's are crossed.
I'm with you, I don't object. I didn't want to come off too strict at first because we haven't had.
No, I don't think it's strict. I think it's in line with the other jurisdictions around us, to be honest with you.
Okay. We can go up to 100, that's easy. It's a good place.
And we probably would send the engineer out.
Oh, we do. We send Gerard and Carl usually to most inspections like that. Say again? Yeah, for sure.
That's the, Mr. Mayor, that's the only two changes I saw. I would just recommend to go to $100 for re-inspections. on
All right, is the general consensus that we move that up?
Look at us generating revenue.
Mayor Pro Tem, did I call on you? Commissioner Albright? All right, bear with me a second, I'm looking at one thing here that I hadn't noticed before. Oh, well, I'll just catch you later, it's not that important. Well, I will ask you, we do, alarms for businesses, homes, like the first one is free, so much, and then they get charged, did those change any at all?
That's police department fees, right?
Right.
After the fourth event, $50 after the fourth event.
Oh, believe me,
You're well aware of that.
And for what it's worth, I did pay my $50.
And we appreciate that.
All right, anything else under this headline? Mr. City Manager, you got anything?
We have one item, Parks and Rec, they recommended an increase for the Willow Oak Restaurant. And that's on page 50, going down on page 50, but in the big book, it's 143, so. Anyway, no, I'm sorry, go to page 50, that's the actual recommendation. Page 50,
Mr. Mayor, members of the board. Hello. So the increase is $50 for half days. For full days, it'll be $100. After hours, we're asking for an increase of $50 and an application fee going up $50.
That's the only change?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Any questions for Dennis? Not seeing any. Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
So, when, you probably remember it, when we opened the community center and Karina was still city manager, we were struggling with the rates. And the issue was, if we're renting it every single weekend, a year in advance, we're probably not charging enough money. But if we're not getting any rentals, we're probably charging too much. And I have spoken to Angie and you, and we are rented into 2025 already. So this is a great idea. The application fee, once an application is made and all the checks and balances that have to be done by Angie, I'm glad that this rate is going up because the $50 that it was wasn't covering all the, and then if somebody backed out, it was a waste of her time when she could have been working on someone else. So I absolutely agree with this. And I'm glad that we're being so successful. Yeah, very.
All right, do you need it, I'm assuming the consensus is that that's okay. So, anything else?
Sir?
We're on a roll now, you sure?
I'm afraid your smile doesn't carry the weight that the police chief does.
And Chief's still smiling back.
All right, Mr. City Manager, what next?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, we're a little over halfway through this budget process. I want to take just a moment and compliment staff for the attention that they put on this. The research they put into it, the planning, the sacrifices in some areas. We will continue to stay the course and make the changes as directed by the board and bring you a more refined budget at your May 20th work session. Subject to your questions, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions for the city manager? Mr. Gleason?
I have a question. Can we, and I should have asked this when we was up there, can we have some kind of an idea at the end of this budget year, what our revenue will be in unassigned? In other words, our fund balance should be somewhere in the neighborhood of.
Oh, unassigned is 9377.
9 million?
9 million.
9 million?
So,
So, but,
so in the
Thank
It's
you.
included in the package as well. If you look at the,
I think it was like 8.
I looked at that, but I didn't think, I thought maybe something wasn't spent.
That's what this is. This is the 99,377 unassigned. That's the money we have, that we haven't assigned to anything.
So again, we're looking at 130%
General fund balance.
fund balance.
yeah, so at June 30th, the unassigned fund balance was $9,377,503. The board amendments adopted thus far, $855,000, which leaves your estimated fund balance at the end of the fiscal year, this fiscal year, at $8.5 million. And you all recently, before I joined the board, adopted to change the fund balance policy where you have 70% of your general fund expenditures on hand, so that would be $4.6 million, which leaves $3.9 million for available projects in the next fiscal year too.
And this doesn't include,
That comes up.
this doesn't include any, money we've received from investing,
Your interest earnings.
interest earnings.
Yeah, so interest earning, all of that goes in directly into your fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. Once, if, yeah.
Right.
I don't wanna start,
What are you doing?
but at the last meeting, when I said our property tax rate would go up about 25%,
Mhm.
it was like 22% when we come out. The county tax rate is gonna go up probably a similar percentage-wise. Our Seguasa rates are going up. I would, again, just for thought, from now till the next meeting, that the board consider, using at least $500,000 of fund balance toward the current fiscal year so that the tax rate doesn't have to go up 22%. It may have to go up 16%, but you can tell, whatever that 500,000 would shave off what we need to collect in taxes. We don't need to do this now, but all I'm saying is, if we use $500,000 of fund balance, cut the tax rate increase from 22% to 16 or whatever it might be even less than that. But we let the citizens know that this is where we stand. We said we could cut the general fund balance to 70% on our, fund balance. We have $4 million that we can't just spend $4 million. I'd like to say we could build a police station and spend that $4 million. But then we'd be at our 70% threshold. The bottom line is, all I'm saying is that there should be a way when we know if Seguasa gets its 85 sewer project done, our number of residents that we're gonna tax is going to go up exponentially. And so, again, use some of the fund balance now. Tell the taxpayers next year you're not gonna use the fund balance. Again, just some way to not, all of a sudden, we're not talking about going from 61 cents to 63 cents when we were, where we should have been. We should have been, right now, we probably should have been around 66 or 67 cents. But we're not raising it pennies, we're raising it almost 20 or 23%, I'm not gonna say 25%, which is a lot of money for a lot of people.
And I just, based on what I'm hearing, I think you're looking at it two different ways. So us spending $500,000 in fund balance, it's not gonna affect the tax rate that we adopt. The tax rate that we're gonna adopt is gonna be to support ongoing expenditures that the city has going on. So spending $500,000 of fund balance is just going to take $500,000 from your fund balance and just decrease your fund balance. That's not going to determine the tax rate that you all decide to adopt.
But if you use the 500,000 to offset to pay toward your budget.
So using it towards balancing your.
Yeah.
You would need to.
Okay, I got you, now I understand.
2 years, 2 years ago, I think we used 700 and
So
something.
using a larger amount to support your budget instead of doing.
We didn't raise taxes the last time because we used all fund balance to make the.
Balance the budget.
Balance.
Right.
So all I'm saying now is if we use $500,000, it will, toward balancing the budget, it will cut the amount of money that we need to generate in a tax increase. If you're saying that's not the case, well, we did it.
I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying when you say it that way of just using, you're feeling more comfortable with using a large amount of fund balance to balance your budget instead of adopting a budget that's going to support your ongoing expenditures.
So
like I said, I think it's going to be you all decision on what you feel comfortable with doing. What I'm going to do is just provide you what my recommended tax rate would be to support that. So you all at the end of the day can decide whatever you feel comfortable that's best for the citizens and you all.
So I guess all I'm asking is if we said we would apply $500,000 toward the balance in the budget, could you then tell us what the tax rate would need to be to completely balance the budget?
Yes.
Again, just so we have some ideas.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, in this thing, you said we needed what?
Hold on, please
That's all right. Just want to clear up before you go into that. So with the recommended tax rate that I gave you at the last meeting, you were still going to have to use $500,000 to balance your budget because of those capital items that are requested in this year's budget. So that'll just be an additional on top of what we already have to use to balance the budget.
Again, maybe I'm confused, but last year we didn't raise taxes because we used fund balance. Without fund balance, we would have needed to raise the taxes. All I'm saying is if we use fund balance toward it this year, the amount of tax needed, 2% get lower.
I understand, Drew. I understand your request and what you asking.
And that's just, so we have something to look at and work with.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So, we would, with the proposed budget, we would need 1.35 million to.
No, that's just the difference from the adopted budget at FY '24 to.
25.
No.
All right, okay. So if we do what Commissioner Gleason is asking, I just want to again, with these budget amendments, we used a lot of money this year in budget amendments. So we could say we'll only take 500,000 out and we won't raise taxes. But then we're gonna come through this. I'm afraid we're gonna come through this year and have budget amendments that are so we're gonna accomplish
I
nothing.
don't disagree with that, but I was under the impression that last year's budget, what we said we were gonna spend in fund balance, we didn't spend all of it.
Spent a lot of it. We spent a lot of it, right? I mean, we looked at these numbers today.
Well, the original budget was how much for '24?
The original adopted budget.
5 million something, wasn't it?
5.5 million.
And how much did we spend?
6.1.
As of the end of March, we have only spent 4.4 million.
Oh my God. It adds up. I know, I looked at these, we've spent less.
Well, we're probably not gonna spend all of that fund balance that we appropriated.
Right. But from my calculation that I did.
And things change. the interest rates, the income from, generated from that is much bigger than originally thought.
Yeah.
So when I made a projection at back in January, the projected, what we was going to spend, it's 5.7 million, but that was back in January, so I will go back and do another projection to give you all a clear view of where we might stand at the end of the fiscal year, so you can have a better view.
So, but you're saying we didn't spend all of it, that we were going to take out of the fund balance? We didn't, that's good, as of now?
Right.
Okay.
I think for my projection, just off the top of my head, we're gonna be adding, roughly around $100,000 to the fund. Not a roughly large number, but adding just a little back to the fund.
Mr. Albright.
I get what, Commissioner Gleason is saying, but eventually you're gonna have to like rip off the Band-Aid, and then people are gonna be really hurting. I mean, I realize that our county taxes are going up, our Granville city taxes are, I mean, everything is going up. But you have to still remember that we all are citizens as well that live in the community too, so it hurts us as well. And I wouldn't wanna raise taxes on myself, but if it's the only thing that eventually will help move us along, I mean, that, you know, it may not be the five of us up here that are gonna have to raise taxes, but eventually it's gonna have to happen, and it's kind of a, you know, you don't want it to be all at the same time, but you don't also want the tax rate to be so low that
we can't get anything
you just can't get anything done because you don't have any money to catch up. There's no money left in our piggy bank.
And just to give you a quick reference of where we stand today, at the revenue neutral tax rate, to balance the budget, we would have to use $875,000 to balance the budget. At the recommended tax rate that I gave you all last week, at the last meeting, we were gonna have to use $569,000 to balance the budget. So that's still your $500,000.
That's what the neutral rate is. Neutral, that's what the
At the neutral rate, we'll have to use $875,000. At the recommended, at the time, at the last meeting, according to that, we'll have to use $569,000.
Mr. Wilkins.
Is that at the 40.4?
It's actually at the, you requested that I do 41, see what 41
I did, yeah.
That's at the 41 cents.
Wow. Okay. It's still $575,000.
$569,000.
On top of the $1 million that was added onto the budget.
Yeah, so to use so that 569 would be the number. If we was to adopt the budget today.
At the 41.
We would have to use.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
That goes to chief license plate readers. Yeah, I was a little while, just found that out now.
Don't worry, Chief, you still got it.
All right, before we end this, I do want to remind the board that we wanted to build a new police station. We wanted to build a new fire station. We couldn't because we didn't have the money to do it. Eventually, we're gonna have to say, yes, we've got this extra money, but we need to build on that if we're gonna do all these things. If we take $500,000 and do it to keep taxes low this year, and then try to maintain it just at the tax rate, we're never gonna reach that amount of money we need to do these things. And that's been my argument on the tax cuts. If we had kept them where they were instead of cutting, and then gradually been tucking money away for these projects, we'd probably be pretty close to having what we need now. So my feeling, and that's just me, and I don't have a vote, is that we need to take that into account. We need to start planning for our police station and our fire station, and looking at how much we need to accumulate each year to reach our goals. Because like I said, if we don't, I'm gonna be sitting here when I'm 80, or out there, and we are gonna be no closer than we are right now. So, just something for you to keep in mind.
I got some.
Oh,
This is for Mr. Frangos. I'm gonna throw something out there. You ready? So when, a few years back, when we initiated street lights, 56 corridor going to our developments, I'd like to look at street lights going 56 towards Butler. Once we get to Lake Rogers, it's dark. It's from Lake Rogers to the Butler city limits, it's dark. So I'd like to see.
Street lighting does fall under the public works budget.
Right.
But we do collaborate on items like that.
Well, I just knew that you were involved in it last time, so.
For sure.
I would like to see streetlights going that direction to
I need to
have
get out and ride
fluidity
around
of
more
when you
often.
coming
I
into
never
the
see
city.
any of this stuff.
You know, hey, with streetlights, we're good, especially once you get to Lake Rogers and that area there going towards Butler, it's dark. And we're looking at, you know, developing that corridor sooner or later. So, I mean, it's a good idea to put the streetlights going that direction. And then my other thing was, Christmas or holiday decorations. I'd like to see them on those poles going towards Lake Rogers as well and going out to the development, some banners at least. I mean, I think it's a good time, if we're gonna do the spring banners downtown, we should, citywide, we should do them.
All right, Mr. City Manager, is there anything else?
Yes, sir, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Are you completely sincere? Ma'am, are you completely
No, he's got his notepad. Mr. Wilkins, do you have anything else to bring before the board tonight?
I do not, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Albright?
Thanks. Thank you to all of you that came tonight and presented. Appreciate it. See you in a couple weeks.
Before I go to Mayor Pro Tem, we have City Vision Conference next week, and Mayor Pro Tem is our voting delegate unless somebody has an issue with that. Nobody has, so. Huh? Well,
I'm gonna miss pickleball. I'm sorry. And I love your classes.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So to piggyback off of what the mayor said, last year, it was a shock to me to find out that we had gone through all the work that we had put into renovating this building, building a new police station, then the fire department said they need a firehouse, and we backed down from that, and we couldn't even do a police department. We are going to grow. We need more police officers. We have no place. I'll tell you right now, there's not an inch in that police department for one more police officer right now. When I went into the ladies' room of the police department, there was an air fryer in the ladies' room, and I'm going, why is there an air fryer in the ladies' room? Because there's no room in the kitchen and there's no room anywhere else. They have outgrown that space. I had no idea how bad it was until I took a walk around back there. But they have, and they've been patient. And Chief, you and your officers have been very kind about this. But every single room in that end of the building has got stuff on the floor, stacked up. It's in the locker rooms, and I know the locker rooms are gonna be more space coming in. We've got renovation money for this building. There was a scenario with the builder, Seppi, and Mr. Frangos reminded me of this. There was a scenario where we don't have to build a separate building for the police department. We could just expand on this building. And I think that coming up in the next fiscal year, we need to seriously look at that and find out if we could possibly afford it, because the police department needs their space. We're working on the fire department. We're all working on the fire department. And I don't want anybody to think that we're not. We're getting Main Street cleaned up, and I've heard very good things from a lot of people about trying to improve the appearance of Main Street to make it more appealing to businesses, to make it more appealing to citizens. And that's what we're trying to do. And by asking the owners of these buildings to maintain their buildings and have pride in the ownership, that's all we're asking. And I don't think it's too much. And I appreciate all the work that's gone into doing this. And I see that some building owners have already got out there and started doing the work. And I appreciate it more than you know. But everything is going up this year. And there was a very emotional Seguasaville meeting last week. Nobody wants to raise rates. Nobody wants to raise taxes. Nobody wants to do anything. But we will never get the city of Creedmoor to move forward. There will never be changes. We meet the expectations of the salaries of our employees because we've got some of the best employees I've ever seen, and I don't want to lose any of them. And we always find the way to find that money. We need to invest in our own city. And as much as I don't want to raise taxes, if we have to do it, when I found out taxes used to be 71.5 cents and they dropped 10 cents over I don't know how many years, to think and have finance director after finance director after people saying, you're going to run out of money, you're not going to be able to do anything. We have to start doing something. And there's no way to go forward without money in the bank. So it's a hard decision, it's a horrible decision. And when growth comes, it'll get better. But we're not there yet. So we have to do what we have to do.
Commissioner Gleason, any questions or comments?
No.
Commissioner Way, anything else you'd like lit up or fixed?
Well, now that you mention, no, I'm just kidding. I would like to just reiterate, I'm still waiting on my splash pad. I would just like to thank the members of the board for excusing me for the last legislative session and the last work session respectively, for letting me spend some time with family and then a training class that I actually went to. So just thank you again.
All right. The city manager, you got anything else?
Yes, sir.
City clerk, you got anything tonight? All right, we can adjourn so that the chief of police can quit grinning back there. And we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Commissioner Wilkins, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Mike, when you come by, there's your pen.
Put a splash pad in the budget, I could have talked about it enough.
We're working on it.
Okay, all right.
We'll be in the master plan.